I'm going to start this video with something honest. Most men don't fear intimacy. They fear rejection. They fear that moment when they make a move and the woman pulls back, turns cold, or says something that instantly kills the vibe. But what if I told you something? There's a way to ask a woman for intimacy without sounding desperate, without pressure, and without facing rejection. A way that uses psychology, not manipulation, not force, but the understanding of how women emotionally decide when they're ready and who they want to be ready with. And that's exactly what you're about to learn. Now, before we get deep into this, let me hook you in with something almost no one knows. Women don't reject intimacy. Women reject the feeling attached to it. If the emotional experience feels wrong, the answer is no. If it feels right, the answer comes naturally. And the trick you're about to learn makes it feel right. Now, let's go deeper. The book Foundation, Understanding Female Decision. Every man who gets rejected for intimacy usually makes one of these mistakes. He asks too directly. He asks too soon. He asks with nervous energy. Or he asks without building emotional tension first. And here's the secret. Women don't decide intimacy logically. They decide emotionally. The moment she feels safe, understood, desired, but not pressured, emotionally aligned, the door opens. So today, I'm going to give you the dark psychology way to ask for intimacy without ever sounding needy, without making her uncomfortable, and without risking that cold rejection. But before we get into the techniques, let me explain something critical about female psychology that most men completely miss. Women experience desire differently than men. For most men, attraction is visual and immediate. You see someone attractive and your body responds instantly. But for women, attraction is layered. It builds. It builds. It accumulates through context, emotions, safety, and anticipation. This is why a woman can meet a man, feel nothing, and then 3 weeks later find herself completely drawn to him. It's not that she was playing games. It's that her attraction needed time to develop through emotional experiences. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach intimacy. Because if you know that her desire builds through emotional layering, then you stop rushing. You stop pushing. You start creating the conditions where her desire naturally escalates. Let's start with the most powerful principle, the first trick. You never ask directly. Let me repeat this because this alone can change everything for you. You never ask a woman for intimacy directly. Women don't respond to direct proposals. They respond to emotional invitation. And there is a massive difference. Asking directly creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance turns into rejection. But when you invite emotionally, subtly, you shift the entire dynamic. She doesn't feel like you're forcing anything. It feels natural. She feels like she is making the decision. And when a woman feels like the decision is hers, she rarely rejects it. Now, let me show you how you actually do this. Think about the last time someone tried to sell you something aggressively. The moment you felt pressured, what happened? You pulled back, right? Even if you're interested before, the pressure killed it. The same principle applies to intimacy. When a man asks directly, "Do you want to come back to my place or should we take this further?" He's creating a transaction. He's making her weigh the decision consciously. And the conscious mind is where doubt lives. But when you create an emotional invitation, you're speaking to her subconscious. You're creating a feeling, not a question. And feelings don't get rejected the same way questions do. The psychology of emotional invitation. Here's the psychology behind the first technique. Give her space to walk into intimacy emotionally. How do you do that? Simple. You create an environment where she feels safe with you, connected to you, and curious about you. Women say yes to intimacy when 3 emotional switches turn on. 1, safety. 2, trust. 3, anticipation. If even one of these isn't active, she holds back. But here's the good part. You don't need to beg for these. You create them. And the next thing I'm about to tell you activates all three. Listen closely. Let me break down each of these switches because understanding them will change how you move through every interaction. Safety doesn't mean she needs to know you for years. Safety means she feels like you're not going to judge her, pressure her, or make her feel like she made a mistake. Safety is created through your emotional stability. When you're calm, grounded, and not reactive, she feels safe. Trust builds when your words match your actions. When you say you're not trying to rush anything, and then you actually don't rush anything. When you respect her boundaries without making her feel bad for having them, trust is the foundation that allows vulnerability. Anticipation is the chemical magic. It's the buildup of tension that makes intimacy feel electric instead of mechanical. Anticipation is created through restraint, through suggestion, through the space between what is and what could be. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most men focus entirely on creating attraction and completely ignore these three switches. They try to be impressive, funny, confident, all good things, but they forget that a woman needs to feel safe, trusting, and anticipating before any of that attraction converts into intimacy. The second trick, the soft withdrawal effect. This is one of the smoothest dark psychology methods ever. Here's how it works. Instead of leaning in towards intimacy, you gently lean out. Not in a rude way, not in a cold way, just in a way that shows you're comfortable with connection, but not demanding it. This does two things. One, it removes pressure instantly. Two, it creates emotional space where she starts leaning in. Women feel safe with a man who doesn't rush intimacy, not because he doesn't want it, but because he respects energy. When she feels you're not trying to get something, she starts moving toward you on her own. And that is exactly when rejection disappears, because now it's her idea. Let me give you a concrete example of how this looks in real time. You're sitting close to a woman. There's chemistry. The conversation is flowing. Most men at this point would escalate physically, move closer, touch more, try to kiss her. But what happens? She often pulls back slightly, not because she's not interested, but because the escalation felt like pressure. Now imagine this instead. You're in that same moment, and instead of leaning in, you lean back slightly. You pause. You look away for a moment. You create just a tiny bit of space. What happens in her mind? Suddenly the pressure is gone. And in that absence of pressure, she becomes aware of her own desire. She thinks, wait, why did he pull back? Does he not want this? And without even realizing it, she starts leaning in. She initiates the touch. She closes the distance. This is the soft withdrawal effect in action. You're not rejecting her. You're not playing games. You're simply demonstrating that you're comfortable with the natural flow of energy, and that comfort makes her feel safe enough to pursue. But the next trick, this one, builds anticipation, the strongest desire trigger in female psychology. The third trick, the implanted thought shift. This is subtle, psychological, and extremely effective. You don't ask for intimacy. You simply give her a thought that naturally leads her toward the idea. How you use soft, emotionally suggestive statements like, I really like the way our energy feels together. You're surprisingly easy to be close to. You have this calmness that makes everything feel natural. None of these ask for anything. None of these push, but all of these plant a seed. Women respond to feelings, not instructions. When she feels something around you, intimacy becomes her curiosity, not your request. And that difference, it's everything. Here's what's happening psychologically. When you use these statements, you're helping her become conscious of feelings she's already experiencing, but hasn't put into words yet. When you say, I really like the way our energy feels together, you're not introducing a new idea. You're articulating something she's been sensing. And when you articulate her own feelings back to her, she thinks, yes, Exactly. That's what I'm feeling too. This creates alignment, and alignment is magnetic. There's also a principle in psychology called priming. When you introduce certain words or concepts into a conversation, they become more accessible in the other person's mind. So when you casually mention energy, closeness, connection, natural, these words start coloring how she interprets the moment. She's not being manipulated. She's being guided toward awareness of what's already present between you. And that awareness is what transforms a nice conversation into an intimate connection. Now, the next part is important, maybe the most important in this entire video, because men mess this up constantly. The fourth trick, you must let her feel safe in her feminine energy. Intimacy for women is tied to emotions, but specifically to feminine emotions. Softness, trust, warmth, vulnerability, openness. A woman cannot enter feminine energy if a man stays nervous, tense, overly sexual, or overly aggressive. Your job is simple. You hold masculine calm. Not forceful, not sexual, not needy, calm. When a woman feels this calmness in a man, something magical happens. Her guard drops. And when her guard drops, saying yes becomes natural. Not pressure, not forced, just natural. Let me explain what masculine calm actually looks like, because this concept is misunderstood by most men. Masculine calm isn't stoic silence. It's not being emotionless or detached. Masculine calm is the energy of a man who is present, comfortable in his body, and not anxious about outcomes. It's the difference between a man who's constantly checking for approval. Is this okay? Do you like this? Should I do you more? And a man who's simply being, allowing the moment to unfold naturally. Women are incredibly sensitive to energy. They can feel when a man is nervous, when he's trying too hard, when he's desperate for validation. And all of those energies push her into her masculine, into her thinking, analyzing, protecting mode. But when you maintain calm, when you're grounded and unhurried, she softens, she relaxes, she enters her feminine, which is where desire lives. This is also why women are attracted to men who seem experienced. Not because experience itself is sexy, but because experienced men tend to be calm. They're not frantically trying to figure out what to do next. They're just flowing. But now, let's talk about the moment most men screw up, when they're about to ask. Here's the psychology that saves you from rejection. The fifth trick, never ask for a yes, ask for a feeling. If you ask for a yes, you risk a no. When you ask for a feeling, you invite vulnerability. Instead of saying, do you want to? You say something like, does this feel too fast for you? Or do you feel comfortable here with me? See the difference? Instead of pressuring her, you're giving her emotional control. And when you offer control, she feels safer. And when she feels safer, she chooses intimacy herself. This is the difference between rejection and connection. This technique works because it completely reframes the dynamic. You're not asking her to accept or reject you. You're asking her to check in with her own feelings. And that's a much easier question to answer. Honestly, when you ask, do you want to come back to my place? She has to consider, what will he think if I say yes? What will he think if I say no? What does this mean? Am I ready? Is this too fast? But when you ask, does this feel too fast for you? She only has to consider one thing. How do I actually feel right now? And here's the beautiful part. If she says a little bit, yeah, you haven't been rejected. You've been given information. You can respond with, that's totally fine. I'm not trying to rush anything. I'm really enjoying just being here with you. Now, she feels heard, respected, and safe. And often, within minutes, she'll be the one escalating because you've removed all pressure. But we're not done. The next trick is where the real dark psychology kicks in. The sixth trick, mirror her desire back to her. Here's what almost no man understands. A woman doesn't decide intimacy based on how much you want her. She decides intimacy based on how much she feels you want her, but without losing your composure. meaning too much desire equals pressure. Too little desire equals disinterest. Balanced desire equals attraction. So when she leans closer, touches you, laughs more, looks in your eyes, or gets softer around you, you simply mirror the energy. Not more, not less. This sends one subconscious message. We're on the same wavelength. This alignment is one of the strongest psychological signals for intimacy. Mirroring is a deeply hardwired social mechanism. From infancy, humans learn connection through mirroring. When a baby smiles and the parent smiles back, the baby learns, I am seen, I am understood, I am safe. The same mechanism is active in adult intimacy. When a woman shows you vulnerability or desire, and you mirror it back, not overwhelm it, not ignore it, but match it, she feels understood at a primal level. This is also where most men fail. They either under-respond, making the woman feel foolish for showing interest, or they over-respond, making her feel like she opened a floodgate she can't control. The key is calibration. If she touches your arm, you touch hers. If she holds eye contact for 3 seconds, you hold it for 3 seconds. If she laughs and leans in, you laugh and lean in. This creates a dance. And in that dance, intimacy escalates naturally without anyone having to ask for it. Now, let's talk about the final step. The moment that closes the deal without ever sounding desperate. The final trick. Make it the moment's idea, not your idea. Women love moments. Moments are emotional. Moments feel real. Moments feel natural, not forced. So, instead of asking for intimacy, you simply acknowledge the moment. This feels really nice. It's crazy how comfortable this feels. You have a really gentle energy right now. When you highlight the moment, you're not asking for intimacy. You're letting the moment invite it. Women follow emotion, and emotion lives in the moment. This removes pressure, removes awkwardness, and removes rejection entirely. And that's how you do it. Here's why this final technique is so powerful. You're removing yourself as the agent. You're not the one wanting something. The moment itself is creating the desire. This is a subtle but crucial psychological shift. When you say, do you want to? You're the one wanting. When you say, this feels really nice, the feeling itself becomes the focal point. And women are much more comfortable following feelings than following requests. Feelings feel authentic. Requests feel transactional. By naming the moment, you're also creating a shared experience. It's not you wanting her. It's both of you experiencing something together. And that shared experience is the foundation of genuine intimacy. If you learned something new today, if this opened your eyes a little, if it made you look at women differently, then don't just leave. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more dark psychology and real-world wisdom. And after you finish this video, don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel. There's a whole world of hidden psychology waiting for you. And trust me, it'll change the way you handle women forever. Thank you for watching.